Welcome once again to the program. I want to begin with our first story. The National Insurance Commission's compulsory fire insurance enforcement unit has embarked on a special surveillance which saw the arrest of some owners and staff of companies who have not acquired insurance policies. In all, 12 companies were screened in some parts of Accra. My colleague Charles Aite was with the team and has come through with this report.
Team set out to check some business establishments within some parts of the city, including Asylum Down, Osu and Spintex. In all, 6 workers of various companies were arrested, out of which 4 of them were cleared. The team's first stop was Eco Furniture Works, where checks showed the company had no fire insurance. The compulsory insurance for commercial buildings, which falls under sections 183 and 184 of the Insurance Act of 2006, shows that 40 out of 60% of companies in the central business district of Accra do not have insurance. Head of Insurance Surveillance Team Joseph Bento disclosed to the media the compliance rate on insurance companies in Ghana remains shockingly low.
Today's exercise or event actually started in January, when we went around to inspect about 70 commercial entities or buildings. And we gave them caution letters to encourage them to comply. Within a week, some of them will give them 2 weeks. In February, we went around and we realized that only few actually complied. As a result, we organized ourselves, and today we want to enforce it. We really want to go around the places that we have already gone and we have cautioned them and we have followed up. We want to go around there and see whether they have actually complied. What I have observed is that some of them have insured before, and they are just to renew, and the renewal has lapsed. And so we have about 5 of them whose renewal has lapsed, and we have another some of the majority, about 80% of them, who has not done it at all. And so it requires constant activity, enforcement activity. I also will urge the media not to harp on it just for 1 month, but probably as long as you can, to make sure that it becomes part of us.
Meanwhile, the approach by the team generated some angry moments, as Assemblyman for Asylum Down described it as harsh and against the rights of the business community.
It is wrong. You know.
What is wrong?
How best do you think they could have done it?
What is wrong?
The approach is high. And the man just explained to me that he has already informed them 3 occasions. I said, okay, then you have it. But the approach should be a little bit sanitized. Because morning like this, people are in the office with the AK on them. You know how you feel.
The surveillance team was expected to cover all 12 companies, including the Robin Hood Hotel, Casino Gold, West Tafco, Yantai International, among others.
Now, government could encounter some difficulties in withdrawing monies from state accounts at the Bank of Ghana from next week. That's if it fails to secure Parliament's approval for estimates of various ministries, departments and agencies in the 2017 budget. Georgia Afe has more.
The executive arm of government has already secured approval for broad policies outlined in the 2017 budget, making way for it to go ahead and implement the various programs outlined in its economic policy document for this year. However, the difficulty is the estimates for the various ministries, government departments and agencies. The Finance Ministry had some difficulties in laying before the House planned expenditure for these institutions for approval. With the exception of the Local Government Ministry, which was approved yesterday, others are yet to come before the House. Now, here is the challenge. Parliament has about 8 working days before it rises for a break. Therefore, if it doesn't adopt some measures to quickly work on these estimates of the over 100 institutions, then there could be a challenge in drawing the necessary funds from the state accounts at the Bank of Ghana from April 1. According to the country's Financial Administration Act, government cannot draw from the Consolidated Fund and the single treasury account at the Bank of Ghana unless that expenditure has been approved by Parliament. So if all these ministries do not get these estimates approved, there could be serious challenges for the economy, and government machinery could grind to a halt.
Well, players in the financial sector have met in Accra to explore some innovative ways to unlock Ghana's economic potential through financial payments. The Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, in a keynote address, praised Ghana's financial transaction platforms. He urged the Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement Systems, GIPS, to endeavor to enhance interoperability networks among various financial institutions to make financial transactions more flexible to the public.
Interoperability, or the ability of a subscriber to send money from one network to the other, should be possible in Ghana as a matter of course, as it is in other countries. This is a very important issue, and it is an issue that we should really, all the stakeholders, turn our attention to. Ghana is really a blessed country. When you look at the financial inclusion architecture in this country, the banks are there, the mobile companies are there, the central bank and the GIPS, the payment system architecture with eSwitch, which tries to target the unbanked. So we have, an architecture that, quite frankly, I don't see in any other country in Africa. I really don't see it. We have been blessed with a major architecture which have been developed separately. The eSwitch architecture is very, very important. The telcos have an architecture which is very, very important. The banks have an architecture which is very important. What we are lacking is interoperability. But interoperability cannot be forced on the players. There must be a sound case, and people have to see the sense in it. I therefore want to challenge the stakeholders that this is not rocket science, making sure that there is interoperability between the Ghana Link, which the banks are on, the eSwitch platform, and the mobile telephone platforms. It's not rocket science. If you put your minds to it, this can be done in 6 months. It can be done. But I think that it is something that, if someone doesn't drive, maybe it doesn't happen. But I believe that GIPS, the Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement Service, is in a unique position to bring the banks and the telcos together to make their platforms interoperable.
Still at that same program, the second Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, the Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, John Esiama, noted the bank is committed to instituting the necessary laws to aid the growth of the sector.
Barely a year after the passage of the guidelines for electronic money issuers, the Bank of Ghana has submitted the Payment Systems and Services Bill. This is a revision and consolidation of the existing Payment Systems Act of 2003, as well as the guidelines for electronic money issuers that I've been talking about. The draft bill has become necessary on account of the increasing role of communication technology, the role of fintechs, the role of telcos, as well as aggregators in the payments space. And I think this very point, I must stress, is important. We are increasingly seeing a lot of innovation from some young companies, particularly in the aggregation space. However, we need to be careful. When you link the accounts of over 20 banks with telcos and e-money accounts, we need to be sure that as much as your software may be state-of-the-art, when it comes to the security aspects, we do not compromise the health and stability of the banking industry. It is anticipated that the bill, when passed into law, and hopefully soon, will provide the necessary legal backing to the bank to support digital payments without risking the stability of the financial system.
Well, later in an interview with Joy Business, the CEO of the Private Enterprise Federation, Anose Bonsu, called for alternative sources of funding for businesses to make government's intention of making the private sector the pivot of economic development a reality.
Have been crying loud and clear over the period, and now we have an open corridor to the presidency with all the directives and statements made by himself and his team that they're going to be not only business friendly but people friendly. So it gives us the opportunity to now look at what do we need to do, what are the kind of challenges that this poses, because we also have to strategize that we have to build the capacities, we have to get the technical competencies, and we also have to seek the financial resource to be able to do. That's one angle that possibly is not going to happen overnight, but we're looking for an opportunity where there will be diverse financial products instead of the single credit system that we base on. We think if that happens, then there will be a challenge between one side of the financial spectrum versus the other side, credit versus a private equity, long-term pool of funding. The aggregation and mobilization of funding is one of the areas that we want to see the government tackle as quickly as possible to make sure that their project and agenda of making private sector the engine and the leadership to drive all this industrialization would happen.
Now, one of the key hurdles to investment in the agric sector is the inability of policymakers to identify reforms that would provide a conducive environment for the sector. A key initiative helping in that direction is a U.S. government global hunger and food security initiative known as Feed the Future. Mission Director of USAID, Andy Carr, says they have established seed labs and encouraged technology development programs to help develop agriculture.
Where under the Feed the Future program, on an annual basis, USAID is supporting activity in the agricultural sector on average about $45 million each year. Our work in agriculture is particularly focused in the northern regions, where we're supporting value chain development in rice and maize and soya. We're working very much in alignment and coordination with development partners and, of course, the Ministry of Agriculture. We're very well briefed on the ministry's new plan and strategy, planting for food and jobs. Those are indeed critically important and shared objectives. We know that there are a set of pillars within that plan, and we certainly share the value placed on those pillars. One of them is improving seed quality. USAID is working significantly in this area together with the ministry, specifically with SARI, Research Institute, to improve seed varieties, to improve seed labs. We've established seed laboratories in Upper East and Upper West and the northern region to signify our very significant investment in the area of seed development. It all starts, as we know, with the seed. Secondly, another pillar under the ministry's plan is, of course, fertilizer, the all-critical input, another area that USAID is supporting. The ministry's priority work is in the area of fertilizer, particularly working with private sector input suppliers, working with other entrepreneurs. For example, an entrepreneur who I just met with recently in Kumasi, who's formulating organic fertilizer for sale. So again, a very important area. And of course, on the policy side, we're well aware of the fertilizer subsidy program. We have a very strong policy project that's working with the ministry to provide the data, the evidence-based data, so that policy determinations can best be made where it comes to input subsidy, where the private sector is working, and to be sure that we're creating that enabling environment for input suppliers, particularly those with inputs as seed and fertilizer, to really do what the private sector does best. And of course, another pillar in the important Planting for Food and Jobs program is relating to technology development and transfer, agricultural extension. Of course, another area we're working in a great deal, we have an ag technology transfer program, again, working in the north, that's working on different innovative technologies, from improved rice planting and fertilization to any number of other innovative technologies, and transferring those through an outgrower model.
You're watching Business Live. We are taking a short break. We'll be back with the Joy Business Van. Welcome back. In 2012, two telecom engineers, Siddiq Issa and Elik Plim Senaya, lost their keys coincidentally. Their experiences opened up an opportunity in locksmith services for them. Today, they've established their own business, fixing locks, making keys, and installing security systems. They like to be referred to as key doctors, and their story is next on today's edition of the Joy Business Van.
We were both engineers, and we had been engineers since we were employed.
Yes, we were all in the network group. Actually, he was doing...
I was into transmission. I was building.
Okay, and I was into core networking.
Siddiq Issa and Elik Plim Senaya, looking back at their days as telecom engineers, they can afford to laugh over it because today they are pursuing another profession they are more passionate about. Siddiq and Elik Plim lost their keys around the same time 5 years ago. Yes, they lost their keys in separate incidents, and however bizarre that may sound, the struggle of retrieving their keys got them thinking, this could be a business we can start. Then they started to research and make enquiries.
What we did was that, upon our discovery, we decided to buy 1 or 2 tools, and then we were running from our car booth. So initially we were doing it for friends and family. It wasn't like a business actually. So in the weekend, you take your tool, you help a friend with a spare key. That was it. That's how we started.
What was perhaps the motivating factor for Siddiq and Elik Plim was the fact that growth in their corporate jobs had stalled.
It didn't become interesting anymore. We wanted new challenges, new opportunities. And we saw, after running this since 2012 to 2014, we realized, okay, there's a very huge market for this. If we pursue this full time, it will give us that happiness that we desire to see in our lives.
Elik Plim and Siddiq eventually quit their jobs to pursue this full-time.
So for 3 years, you were trying to be sure whether to come and do it full-time or not. So each time that the topic comes up, you have to kind of defend why you want to leave this place. And each time you have to defend why you think there's an opportunity for good. And we also realized that for 3 years that we were not here full-time, the business wasn't growing. Because there were two struggles. There were times when the customer will want to come here, but you had to work and you can't meet the customer and there's nobody here to help the customer. So it was at one point in 2015, actually, as you said, when the corporate restructuring in corporate came, it was also an opportunity for us to say that, okay, we've done enough of this and enough of the frustrations over there. So we want to walk away and come and do this thing full time.
Elsewhere, there's really a developed market for locksmithing. In Ghana, most of the locksmiths operate on the tabletop or by the wayside. Key Doctors is currently dominating the market with their prompt quality service and their strong online presence. But what works most for them, though, is their strong partnership.
Actually trying to make it work because we try and put our sentiments, our emotions aside, and then we try to get it working. For me, I think I see myself as mostly the positive type, and then Ellie is also quite critical. So he's a critic, and then whenever I be bringing more ideas, each time I wake up I want us to try something new, but then he will analyze and tell you that, Charlie, this one is good, all right, but maybe if we can do it this way, we might want to take a second look at it, and then it will be much more beneficial. I think once or twice that has actually helped us and helped this business, because I'm sure we would have fallen into some pits by now, left to me alone.
The Key Doctors have found the key to their entrepreneurial success, but they do not want to leave it just at that.
The future looks very bright, and for us, because we learned the very difficult way, we want to make things very easier for those coming in or the unemployed youth. We're planning to set up a training school in the future where we'll be able to train young guys and possibly set them up into business. That will also enable us to gradually take out the bad guys in the system who leverage on this business to do bad things.
Great ambition, if you ask me. You can watch a repeat of this episode of the Joy Business Van on the Marketplace tomorrow at 1 p.m. You can also follow the story online on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. Time now for your busy bits.
Did you ever want to mark up a Word document on your computer without having to print it out? This tip will show you how to insert a comment into the Word document. Highlight the text that you'd like to make a comment about, go to Insert on the menu bar and select Comment. A red box will appear where you can type in your comment. When you're done typing your comments, just click somewhere else in the document to get out of the red box. Your comment disappears right after you click out of the red box. All you have to do is to look on the menu bar for View, then Toolbars, and then Reviewing. On the Reviewing toolbar, look for Show and select Comments.
Let's shoot straight to our interview of the day. We've got the Executive Director of Vanguard Assurance, Gideon Aminyado, speaking. He has disclosed that his company is ever prepared to meet the proposed minimum capital requirement announced by the regulator, that's the National Insurance Commission. Industry analysts have made calls for the increase in the minimum capital requirement away from the current figure of $5 million. Now, in an interview with Joy Business, Executive Director of Vanguard Assurance, Gideon Aminyado, noted his outfit is ready to satisfy any revised requirement from the regulator. He's been sharing his thoughts.
Always been prepared because to be prepared is to make sure that you satisfy your client. As you satisfy your client, they have confidence in you and your profit increases. So we are always prepared every day for all the things.
You could still build your branches, offices at their locations. Why the move to be on the vehicle?
It's not as effective as this one because you can't build branches everywhere. And there are places people who really need insurance. Let's for instance, residential areas. The rains are just about to come. You can't build branches in the residential area and after the rain, you take it away. But you can always move the car wherever you want to do. Embassies, people need foreign travel. You can't just go and build branches there at the embassy. So this can go where ordinarily branches cannot go. So it's the way forward.
So is it like a target to the hinterlands?
Not hinterland, like I've said. Embassies is not hinterland. Residential areas are not hinterland. So everywhere, hinterlands, city, etc. There are places that branches cannot go, and this can go.
And that's our show tonight. There's more news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Darryl Kwao.